Allison Dillon. There's been 2,069 school shootings in the United States since the 1970s. The United States, everybody in this room has heard of the Red Lake Reservation shooting or the Ricori school shooting that happened right here in Minnesota. The United States Federal Commission on School Safety should fund additional security measures within schools. First, I will talk about how past security measures have been detrimental to students' well-being. And lastly, I will talk about how we can increase security within schools with new protocols and measures. School security is an important issue that needs to be addressed worldwide. According to Dr. Christopher A. Mallett, who was a Juris Doctor in law and professor at Cleveland State University for 19 years, in the Journal of Juvenile and Family Court, published in 2020, he states that the federal government passed the gun-free law in 1993, which required any school receiving federal funds to expel a student for at least a year if they were to bring a weapon onto school ground. This security measure has also allowed schools to eliminate drugs and other contraband from entering the school. According to Emily Tanner Smith, who has a PhD in sociology and has been a professor of counseling psychology at Human Services Department at the University of Oregon for the past 6 years, in the Journal of Criminal Justice published in 2018. The gun-free law has also allowed states to broaden their focus on other issues in the school. For example, attendance issues, bullying, and other issues that may be in that school. A survey conducted in 2013 showed that 22% of high school students were offered, given, or sold drugs at school. 8% had been in a physical fight, 22% had been bullied or harassed, and 7% had been injured or threatened on school property. Perpetrators often attempt to commit self-harm, had leaked their attempt to others such as peers, family, or friends, or had entered in odd behaviors such as weapon seeking or disturbing writing. Perpetrators often were bullied in their young adolescent years and hold grudges that turned into revenge tendencies. The symptoms of often school perpetrators include depression, narcissism, and anxiety, which can be shown in their young adolescence years. In 1999, the effects of the 1999 Columbine High School shooting are still shown today. Some of the symptoms include anxiety, depression, PTSD, academic worsening, or lack of sleep, which can be admitted in any person in the school shooting. Surveys show that 16.9% of teachers say that their schools do not have post-trauma interventions that are already set in place. These surveys shows that it's so important for schools to have post-trauma interventions set in place in case of emergencies like this were to happen. Now that I've talked about how past trauma has negatively affected students, next I will talk about security issues and how we can improve them. The American schools need to strengthen their stance on school security. Schools around the world have implemented 3 PTL systems throughout their school. According to Andrea B. Heisman, who has a PhD in health behavior and health education and has been an associate professor at Wayne State University for 2 years, in the Journal of Health and Justice published in January of 2020. A 3 PTL system includes administration, school resource officers, and mental health professionals. Survey shows that 89% of schools have security cameras set in place, 43% have at least one guard or school resource officer within their school, and 9% use random metal detectors. Many other forms of security can be implemented in the school. According to Chris Curran, who has a PhD in leadership and in policy studies and has been an associate professor at the University of Florida for 4 years, in the Journal of School Violence published in January 2020. He states that additional security measures such as security cameras, school resource officers, and better surveillance can be used. Students often associate exterior security cameras more positively because they know that the security cameras are being monitored by school individuals or sometimes local police. Other ways that schools can improve security are having locker checks and updating the visitor logs, which is an easy and inexpensive way that schools can strengthen their school security. 95% of public schools in the United States already have existing security measures and protocols set in place if an event like this were to happen. First, I talked about how past security measures have been detrimental to students' health. And lastly, I talked about how we can increase school security by implementing new security measures. There have been 2,069 school shootings in the United States since the 1970s. The Federal Commission on School Safety should fund additional security measures in school. If we can increase school security and safety, parents, teachers, and students would feel more comfortable attending school and sending their children to school. If we can increase this number, if we can increase the safety, we are hoping that we can decrease the activities of school shooting in the future.